Hey guys, Metal Viking 82 here, back with a new Viking Orations. Got another review for you today, and this time around I'm going to be talking to you about the brand new EP from the band Gorgatron, entitled Agony Reborn, out now through Blood Blast Distribution. And if you're not familiar with Gorgatron, they are a death metal band out of Fargo, North Dakota, been around since 2005, featuring Coop Shah. I hope I pronounced your last name right. I apologize if I didn't. Handling the guitars, Paul Johnson also on guitars and also handling vocals. Cameron DeWald on bass. Matt Johnson on the drums. He is in the band Rottenness. And then finally, Carl Rice Grinder Schmidt on lead vocals. He is also in the band Rottenness, and he was also a former live member of the band Unmerciful. As I said, this is the band's first EP overall. They do have 3 previous full-length albums. It is 4 tracks and just a couple of ticks under 17 minutes in length. And this tape version actually has 3 unreleased live songs tacked onto the B side. But for the purposes of this review, I'm just going to be talking about the 4 tracks on the A side, the main body of this EP. Though listening to the live tracks, I gotta say, I would definitely love to catch these guys live. And honestly, Gorgatron are just one of those bands that I have known about for years now, that I put on a list to check out, just like everybody has. And, because of the sheer amount of new music that is constantly coming out and that I'm constantly checking out, I just kind of forgot about actually checking them out, and I feel bad for it. But here recently I saw a Facebook post in a group, one of the groups that I am in, about this particular EP, and it finally got me off my ass to check them out. And I was so impressed that I not only pre-ordered the EP, but I also nabbed all their full-length albums off of their web store. And I also got a cool wristband that I got laying around here somewhere. But yeah. Now, the first track on this EP is actually just more of an intro, and I know some people might say when they hear that it could have been left off, they'd rather have another song instead of just an intro, which, I can see that point, but I also think this intro really helps build the kind of set up the atmosphere in a way for this particular EP. It's a very creepy intro, I have to say. You get the sounds of a baby crying at one point, and just all you hear is the baby screaming in this kind of Gregorian style voice, this just muttering. This I can't really make out what exactly he's saying, which makes it even more creepy. Which Gregorian chants and voiceovers in and of, there's some kind of little bit of a creepy atmosphere to things. And then underneath all that is like the sound of flames everywhere. So it really sets an interesting atmosphere for this release. And then towards the end of it, you get this kind of building cymbal roll that gets, faster and faster, and then finally blends into the first track proper. I gotta say, the guitar work on here is fantastic in my opinion. You get mid to fast paced riffing, as well as some nice chugs and really tasty guitar solos on here. When you get to track number 3, The Unwilling, at the 122 mark, right after a really nice fast-paced section with some blast beats that end with a sort of tremolo style riff in there, you get this really sick, heavy and chuggy riff that really gives the song a nice head-bangable groove, I feel. The bass on here has a really killer tone. It's nice and thick and heavy, but and it can be picked out throughout this EP as you're listening to it. But to be honest, to me, it seems a little too low in the mix. And the only time it really stands out, giving you the idea of how thick the tone actually is at the 224 mark. And the track I just mentioned, track number 3, The Unwilling. Like I said, as you're listening to it, you can kind of pick it out a little bit, but that particular moment is the only time it really jumps out at you, because it gets just like a very brief moment to shine by itself, and that's how I can tell how great the tone was. And then after repeated listens, I can start to pick it out a little bit more and more, but it's still just kind of a little low in the mix, I think. Solid drum performance on here from Matt. The production is really good with a nice snap to the snare, and I love the kick drum sound on here. Great double bass work. Love the blast beats, and he does a lot of really nice patterns, rolls, and fills. Vocally, you get a nice growl slash roar. It's really powerful and very intelligible, so you can make out the lyrics on here, and he mixes those with some really sick screams. So overall, a very good vocal performance on here. The only other thing I picked out is track number 2, the title track, Agony Reborn. At the 3:16 mark, I get a real Slayer vibe to that riff, and you know, that particular riff leads into a really nice guitar solo with some killer blast beats underneath of it. And then at the 4:14 mark, there's this very black metal-ish style tremolo riff that comes in that sounds really badass. Overall, I think this is just honestly a killer EP from a band that, despite only just getting into them, has yet to really disappoint me. I have loved everything that I have heard from this band since picking them up. It's heavy, yet it has that headbangable groove to it. Great musicianship. Everything was really well executed, I thought. I just wish the bass was just a little more discernible in the mix, because, I mean, the tone, when I actually got to hear it, sounded really good, and what I could pick out of what he was doing, it sounded really good. I mean, if you got a terrible bass player, yeah, you want to kind of bury him in the mix, but this guy seems like he is really good, so I really wanted to hear more of his bass. But other than that, I thought it was really solid, and included a really killer cover of Dead Embryonic Cells by Sepultura. Really good cover right there. I give this a solid 8.5 out of 10, mainly because I just wish the bass was a little bit higher. But yeah, that is going to do it. I will leave a link down below so you can check this out for yourself, and also a link to their web store so you can pick up a copy of this. Go check out Gorgatron's Agony Reborn. That is going to do it. Thank you guys so much for watching and subscribing. And until next time, stay brutal.